Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Ophelia's vlog. On this channel, we talk about career, education, and lifestyle. If these are subjects that are of interest to you, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Today, we are having an interview with Emmanuel, who is a graduate of University of Cape Coast in Ghana. He completed a master's here and is currently working. Emmanuel is going to tell us about his application process and how he got a little bit of how he got his job. So, stay tuned throughout this interview, and I'll meet you at the end of this interview. Bye. Hi, Emmanuel. Thank you for honoring our invitation. We are so glad you are here. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself to bring context to the conversation today?
Yeah, I'm Emmanuel Mensah. Completed UCC in Ghana, where I pursued my bachelor's in accounting, become accountant,
Oh,
and graduated somewhere 2019, and pursued my master's in financial economics at Ohio University. I think in 2021. Yeah.
how did you start your graduate school application journey?
Okay. So my graduate school application actually, I always had a dream of pursuing education abroad,
Mhm.
but personally, I always thought, it's going to be very tough for me because I grew up from, Gumwayi, and a lot of people don't even know that. So thinking about the cost involved, I didn't think it was possible until a friend of mine, Fred Japan. I don't know if you know him. I think he owns a YouTube channel, The Fred Effect. He introduced me to study abroad somewhere in 2019 when I was almost done with my program. And when he told me initially, I was in doubt because I was like, how is it possible? How am I going to make it? He told me that, oh, I can get scholarship. But, at the time, too, I was doing my national service at the Ministry of Finance. So I was pretty much reluctant to pursue it until 2020. I reached out to him. He helped me with my application. I actually applied to just one school, which was Ohio University, financial economics program. And fortunately, by the grace of God, I got into the program. And yeah, I am today.
Oh, okay. So it was someone that actually gave you the motivation. Most of the time, you need a motivation from somewhere to start, right? Especially thinking about the cost involved in schooling abroad. So you think, oh, I do not qualify for it. But then once you get the motivation somewhere, I think that was good. So what were your consideration in choosing a school?
Yeah, so personally, my considerations were I'd wanted to pursue something away from accounting, even though I did accounting in my bachelor's. Somewhere level 300. I remember I told my very good friend Victor that I was tired of accounting. Not that I wasn't good in accounting. I loved accounting from high school. But at one point in time, I felt it was pretty much too static, more or less like you have to read standards and get to understand
Yeah.
what the standards say, and that is it. It doesn't allow you to think outside the box. So I was thinking that finance would have been ideal, or maybe mechanical engineering. So when I chanced on this program, I realized that it had a blend of accounting, econs, and then finance. I realized that yeah, that would be a very good path for me. So uh, that's the major reason why I applied to just one school because I didn't know of any school that was offering the same program. It was later that I realized that there was another school in Ohio that I think Bowling Green State University, which was offering the same program, but it was quite too late for me.
Your criteria for assessment was mainly the program you were looking at, right?
Yes, I think my criteria was mainly the program solely because at the time Fred, as I mentioned earlier, had explained to me that oh, there was funding opportunities and other things. So at that point, my focus wasn't more on the cost. My focus was on the program, right? Because I knew once I'm able to put in a very good application, I should be able to, get some funding for the program, and that will even beat down my cost. So it was mainly about the program and how that was going to align to what I wanted to do.
How different is the application process as a business student?
What I would say is there are some things that are default, right? Like letter of recommendation, getting your CV, your transcripts, your certificates, right? All those things are default. Like every program will require, but some school, and also I think the differences would be, as you mentioned, in the field from the sciences and business, and also depending on the school, right? So some of the schools would require GMAT and GRE. Fortunately, for my program, they didn't require for it, but for other programs within the school, they require for, I think, GRE or GMAT. But most of the business schools require that you have your GMAT and GRE. There are some that don't, and even some of the schools that require for those certifications, you can write to the program director and let them know that this is your transcript and this is what you have. This is a work experience. Are those certifications, waivable? In some cases,
Mhm.
they can waive it for you. In other
Yeah.
cases, if the way your application, they think that no, isn't waivable, they require you to write it. So I think the business side is not too much different. It's just this GMA GRE requirement. But then again, sometimes it's waivable, and it brings it back to the same old thing. Yeah,
So some things are static, like the letter of recommendation, statements of purpose. But
yeah,
then when the certification comes in, it becomes like based on the school, right? Some waive it, some do not. So what was the process you went through to secure your full funding or partial funding? Which one?
yeah. I actually had a partial funding, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so mine was my school. I think they have three different kind of scholarship offers. They have graduate recruitment scholarship, which pays only tuition. They have I think GA, which pays tuition and also give you stipends. Mine paid only tuition, but it gave me stipend, but the stipend wasn't enough. I was making about $100 every 2 weeks. But other people were making about 800, 900.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones who had GRA.
Okay.
And those people, the reason why they were making that much is they were using their 20 hours, right? But mine, for instance, because it was GRS, which is Graduate Recruitment Scholarship, I had my 20 hours to work on campus. So that was making me additional money. So the question was the process, right?
Yeah.
So what I did was I reached out one before I even applied. I reached out to the program director,
Okay.
Professor Berdian. I reached out to him, sent sent my CV and transcript, and made him aware about my interest into the program, and also inquired from him whether I do qualify for the program and whether there are funding opportunities. I remember very well when I reached out, he told me that, yes, I do qualify, but unfortunately, they don't have funding for the program. And that was a down moment for me. So initially, I didn't plan on applying again because I was like, if there's no funding, then there's no need for me to apply. But you see, there's one good thing here is, yes, of course, sometimes there may not be funding, but you have to apply
Right.
because your department may not have funding, but you may get funding from another department.
Yes.
So then again, Fred comes into the picture. I told him, and I remember very well, he told me that yes, just apply. I was like, okay, let me just put in this application and see how it goes. So I applied, and I gained the admission, and I think a week or two after, I received an email that I gotten a graduate recruitment scholarship. So my deficit was about, I think, $15,000, but it was mainly about my living expenses. So, and my health insurance. So what it means is I have to make sure that I cut down my living expenses. You know, because these people, they do their budgets based on, oh, you have to live good. So this how,
Right.
yeah. So, so I had to cut down my, structure how I'm going to live my life and make sure that I live within my means and what I can afford. So yeah, I just reached out to him, even though he told me that there was no funding. I applied, and later on got a scholarship at the end of the day. Yeah.
Okay. So one thing that stands out to me what about what you were saying is that you did not have funding, right? Sometimes these YouTube channels we are like, please secure your funding before you apply for the school, but sometimes this does not work, right? So you can apply and then see if you get funding from other sources rather than your department, and so that is what you did, and then you got the scholarship that pays for your tuition, but not your living expenses
Yeah,
and then your medical stuff. But also, like, one thing we have to look at is that these people calculate their living expenses based on a certain standard of living. Reading, being able to read your offer letter is also a good thing. Like knowing the deficit and knowing what you can make of the deficit, right?
yeah,
So I think you did a good one by knowing that 15,000, you're not going to spend 15,000.
yeah.
So it brings me to the question that with a deficit of $15,000, how did you prepare for your visa interview? What did you tell them about your funding?
So the good news is I actually had to rely. So when I had that deficit, and because I didn't apply to many schools, I applied to only Ohio University. Right. So I was just looking within one option. So I spoke to a relative and uh, he offered to give me the bank statement. So I just have to rely on his bank statement, and that's what I had to use for my interview process. Uh, Good news, I got to the interview. They didn't even ask me for the bank statement. So, um, yeah, I know sometimes it can be very traumatizing preparing for the interview process, uh, most especially when it comes to funding, you know. But I think it's all about prayers and uncommon favor because I got there, even that one with a bank statement, but I wasn't asked for a bank statement. So, uh, yeah, I think that was it. But I did a lot of prepping with
That's
some
great.
friends, and that really helped me in getting my visa. I remember we used to go to Accra Mall every Sunday.
Oh, wow.
Person it's easy to meet in person to to prep Prince and Co. We had a group. We called it White Paper. You
Child.
know, when you get your visa, they give you this white paper. That was the name of the group. And every Sunday we go to Accra Mall. We prep in person. You know, prepping in person is different from prepping online. You know, sometimes you have to read your body language and stuff. And yeah, at the end of the day, it paid off. I can say that about 80 to 90% of those who are on that page, everyone had a visa.
Okay.
You know,
I like the God factor of it because, like, God is a destiny changer. So if
because
you rely on Him, he comes through for us, right?
yeah,
And then the fact that you also prep, so not putting so much like God is going to do everything without putting in the effort. We need to put in the effort in as much as we rely on God, right? So I like that part of it, the God factor, and the part that you really had a group of friends that motivated you to prep and all of that. So we need that circle around us to make us, because this journey is not easy. Except for common challenge like financial, what challenges did you face in the process and how did you overcome it?
wow. In the process, uh, aside from financial challenges, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, One, I think the biggest hurdle here is not about you getting a school, it's not about you getting a funding. Because I feel even though our Ghanaian education can be tough, it prepares you a lot.
Yeah.
But the major challenge is getting your visa.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I remember there were people you could read their transcript and you'd be like, why was this person denied? There are people with about 56,000 deficits and they will get their visa. There are
Yeah.
people with full funding and they'll be rejected. So you ask yourself, what is the basis, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the difficult side, trying to get your vessel. But that was one of the major challenge. And when you get to the US, I think another challenge would be trying to, acclimate with the US education system. You know, back home in Ghana, you can go to class for like 2 weeks without an assignment. A year.
Looking for UCC. Okay.
Yeah, you will get an assignment every single day. Like you have assignment for every class every week. So
Mhm.
if you are doing 4 classes or 5 classes, you have assignment for it every week. And that was a crazy run for me because trying to switch from UCC life to UCC stuff.
That's
UCC.
what you guys think, actually.
Oh, UCC stuff. Trust me, UCC is very tough. Like
It's
I
not
remember.
tougher than KUSD, so
You think so? You should
yeah.
experience. You should experience Dr. Akosu. Yeah. So, but I feel talking about talking about the academic pressure. Um, what I experienced in UCC, it was pretty much good for me. Yeah. Yeah. Even though there were a lot of assignments, but I had to make time, and because I was working extra, to be able to foot my bills and medicals, I had to find a way to make things work. So I was studying as much as I can,
Yeah.
just so to make sure that I'm not left behind. And I never missed any class. I was always in class. Yeah. And also, I think it will also boil down to the people that you meet here. Um, there are a lot of information and there are a lot of misinformation here, um, depending on who you meet and how the person introduces you to the American system will define how your success will be. And it's very, very important. I was fortunate I had a group of people in Ohio who received me. I mean, the Ghanaian community in Ohio University is very, very big, very large.
Okay.
And about 80% of them are from UCC. So it's like we
Oh,
knew ourselves, Yeah. And they were very helpful, very, very helpful sometimes. And, in America here, things like getting a car is not a luxury, right?
yeah.
But you get here fresh and you don't have a car, you have to go to Walmart, you have to go buy stuff, and you are stuck because you don't have it. Sometimes you have to wait a while before you go in. And but I mean, the Ghanaian community was pretty much supportive. You could call someone, and the
Yeah.
person would just come in and make
Yeah.
time for you, drive you there, go buy whatever you have to buy, and come back. Even though there's a public transport, but sometimes,
How convenient.
yeah,
Yeah.
so. That's the only thing. And another major factor would be the cultural shocks, and then um, living in Ghana, I never questioned myself that I never became conscious of my complexion. Let me put it that way. You know, I never became conscious that I'm a black person wherever I go. But in America, obviously, it's one of the major factors. Like whether you like it or not, you'll always be conscious of your complexion, especially if you're from Africa.
Yeah.
So those were a few challenges that I pretty much experienced aside the financial issues.
Okay. Okay. So I like the angle you took your challenges from, not from Ghana, but from here, like the culture shock, then the getting your way around, right? It was a big deal. If you don't have someone to take you to Walmart, sometimes when you miss the bus, it takes like an hour to get the bus again. But these are things we don't talk about because everyone sees abroad as luxury, and then getting a car. So, you are working now, right? Wait,
Yes.
let me ask this question. What work were you doing in school and how did you get that job?
I was working with a culinary service, and so basically, I came very early. Right, I came in July. Yes. So when I came, school had not resumed. It was pretty much summer, and school was still on vacation. So I remember Fred was like, he was on campus. He took me from the airport. I mean, very supportive guy. He's been very, very supportive of my journey. So he told me that, just apply, go to the culinary service, tell them that you're an international student, you want to start working. So I got to the US, I think on Thursday. On Monday, I was working. You
Oh,
know? Yeah, on Monday, I was working. I went there the same day I did my paperwork. That same, no, I did my paperwork on Friday. And then on Monday, I started work with two other colleagues from Ghana. And, I just walked in. I just walked in and told them that I'm a student. I'm ready to work. So it just started that way. It wasn't that much, and even when we came, we saw a lot of advertisements around that they needed job, what do you call it, employees and stuff. So there were a lot of openings for students on campus to to pick up and then start work.
Okay.
But let me chip this in. There's also a website. I think every school has it where they post jobs and
Mm-hmm.
junior positions and stuff. So um, I did a culinary service for some time, and then later on, I got a job with a academic. What's the name? Academic something something center.
Mm.
What they do is they help undergraduate students with time management and stuff, organizing and study strategies.
Academic Success Center or something.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
what we used to call it. Yeah.
How is AAC?
Yeah.
I forgot the phone meaning real.
Okay.
So yeah, I got a job there. I actually got a job because a Ghanaian friend who was about completing, he was there, and then he recommended me
Mhm.
Zero. Yeah, so I got in, and that was somewhere in January after I've
Mhm.
done first semester of working in the culinary service. But still, I was juggling between the two because we had bills to pay. So
Well, I also did apply on the school website. So when I came in, I was a graduate assistant, and then I was also a front desk aide. So I was balancing the two. So that website is very helpful to the
yeah,
website of the school that post the jobs, right? Even though you were recommended, you still have to apply. Yeah, that's how it works. So,
yeah.
but you are working now, right? Are you comfortable talking about how you got your job?
Oh yes, it wasn't a big deal. I I got a job. Um I reached out to the recruiter on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn is a very good platform. I would advise that people make good use of it. Um, one of the major challenge, I think I should have mentioned that earlier. One of the major challenge here is if you don't have an American work experience, sometimes it's quite difficult to get a good job here,
You
right?
are spot on there. Yeah.
And uh, you don't want to go do masters and then you're done with your masters or your bachelors and you don't really get a good job and things are running out, and especially if you're on OPT, you want to get a job that, at the end of the day, there are possibilities of they filing for you or you extending your OPT, especially if you're on STEM OPT, right? So it's quite difficult getting in because I started applying for jobs in January. That was in my second semester. And for my program, I did fall, spring, and summer. So
Okay.
I started applying very early, and it's very good. I would tell everyone to start applying very early. Um, Most of the firms I applied to rejected me. At the point in time, I felt it was they had stored my email somewhere. That once I apply for a job, automatically they send me a rejection the next morning. So, it was difficult for me, traumatizing experience. But then again, it's all about the community you build. Uh, I met one Ghanaian, Francis Sarkodie. He told me that, hey, do this. Just get a LinkedIn, get a premium account, So I had to pay for it so that
Mm.
I have access to reaching out to some of these people. I mean, I reached out to a lot of people on LinkedIn, people from Goldman, people from PepsiCo, people from Deloitte, PwC, KPMG, name it, Bank of America, like a lot of companies. And I only had that access because I was paying premium.
Right.
And I remember there were some of them, once you reach out to them, you can just tell them that, oh, you want a 15 minutes or 10 minutes call, just to have a discussion. And a lot of them are open to it. Why? Because some of those people were once international students. So they really understand the struggle. Right. So I think that was very helpful. I reached out to um, one of the recruiters recruiting for a new role in Deloitte. And the very moment I reached out to her, she just replied me and told me that, hey, this is my email, apply for this job. And when I'm reaching out to them, I always try as much as possible to attach my CV, you know, um, just so that could speak on my behalf in my absence. So she sent me what do you call it, the email and then the application link. I applied, and by God's grace, yeah.
Oh, so that was fortunate for you. Yeah. So our last question is, what would you do differently if you had to start your whole application process again?
Wow, that's a tough question.
No.
Well, I think one thing that I would do differently would be apply to many schools.
Okay.
The reason I'm saying this is at the end of the day, it gives you the opportunity to have a lot of options to make a decision from. I applied to just one school, so in my case, I was whether I like it or not, that's the only school I'll go, or I have to wait till the following year. So when I didn't get a full funding, I was reluctant. I didn't know whether to apply or not, right? But if I had applied to many schools, chances are you could get at least full funding in one of them. Sometimes you may be thinking about the application fee, but somewhere in September, I know that a lot of schools, September, October, a lot of schools do this, give out free application codes, and people could apply to put in the application for free. So take advantage of it. Even though a lot of people are doing it, take advantage of it. Try to strengthen your SOP. Make sure that whatever you have in there makes sense, you know, and put up a very good CV. If you don't know how to write a CV, speak to people who can help you, let people review your SOP. Those are some of the things that I would do more if I was to start the whole application again. And also to start applying for jobs very, very early. In fact, the very day you step in the US, what's your accounting school, start applying for jobs
I like that.
so that you wouldn't find yourself wanting because it can be very, very, traumatizing. Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah, you're the second person that's saying that if I'm supposed to start my application process again, I would apply to a lot of schools. And the reason is the same. You get a variety of options to choose from. And then starting early, I've spoken a lot about it, is very good. Yeah. Yeah. So this has been on time and very informative. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation. I hope I see you again.
But thanks for the invite. I
Yeah.
really appreciate it. Yeah.
So I'm going to set you on LinkedIn and then see if I can add your link to the description so that people can reach out to you. A very good resource because you had people that helped you, so you can be of help to other
Oh
people.
yeah, obviously, obviously.
Yeah.
I'll
So